Okay, I guess I should talk about Fastlane. It was good? Question mark? It was not bad. Parts of it were horrible, but parts of it were good. Parts of it were really good. And parts of it were not even any of those things. There were a new thing on the scale between good and bad. It was like a parallel scale from another dimension where the concept of quality has no meaning. Well, I didn't even... Oh, okay. I guess I'll skip the parts that I don't remember. Obviously, or the parts that were the first match. Why do I keep doing these? Holy fuck. I'm ruining it. It's all going to hell. The first match was Dolph Ziggler and Ryback and Eric Rowan versus Seth Rollins and the Big Show and Kane and the J.B. Noble and Joey Mercury, the whole Authority minus the Triple H's, the whole. It was a 6-man tag match. I don't give a shit because I've watched this match, it seems, every week for the last 10 years. You know, you see more than your fair share of 6-man tag matches in WWE, especially with these guys. These are the fucking the upper mid-card guys. Not even upper mid-card guys. How sad is that? The mid-card guy, not even mid-card guys. I mean, it's like they're not even mid-card. It like varies every month between mid-card and upper mid-card. Is that even a distinction that matters? No, it's not. So why am I hung up on it? I'm not. Moving on. I didn't really pay attention to this match, and it's not because any of the guys in the ring were bad, because they're not. Big Show and Kane are getting up there in years, and I'm pretty fucking sick of seeing them, but it doesn't mean they're bad. Well, Big Show's pretty bad, but, Ryback and Eric Rowan and Dolph Ziggler, you know, I just don't care. You know, they're not gonna push these guys ever. Ever, 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 so I can't care anymore. I'm sorry, Dolph. You know, I love Dolph Ziggler as much as anyone does, but I don't give a shit. And I definitely don't give a shit about another 6-man tag match with the Authority, so I didn't pay attention, and I'm sure it was a great match. I'm sure it was a good match. I'm sure it was a great and a good match in that order. But I wasn't paying attention. What I did pay attention to, though, was at the end when Randy Orton's music hit and he returned. They were setting up everyone for curb stomps. You know, Seth Rollins was killing everyone with curb stomps, and then Randy Orton finally makes his return. And, okay, yeah, I like Randy Orton. I love Randy Orton. And you know what? I hated Randy Orton for most of the time that Randy Orton was, like, a thing for, like, 10 years. Like, I never gave a shit. But, like, in the last year, Randy Orton became the best guy ever. I mean, like, he's always been, like, man, I don't want to say the best wrestler in the world, but, you know, the best wrestler in the world. That's probably not, like, a popular decision for that, and, you know, there's other guys, I'm sure, who could tie him. But I mean, like, in terms of just, like, he's so smooth. Everything he does looks incredible. And he's always been that way, I guess, but I never gave a shit because he was fucking boring, right? But in the last year, you know, it seems like they've stopped with the boring, monotone Randy Orton, and he's cutting these promos where he's like letting his temper flare up, and he's yelling and screaming and acting like a fucking crazy lunatic idiot, and he's making these facial expressions in his matches and sticking his tongue out and doing. The last couple of years he's been doing that, and that's the Randy Orton that I like. I don't like. I'm glad that he's not like the monotone guy anymore. Randy Orton, I like him being a loose cannon, crazy motherfucker, like always like right on the edge of blowing up in like this huge temper tantrum. It's pretty great, and I like that. And he's a good. And he was a good because he came down and he saved the day, I guess. I don't know. He RKO'd everybody out of nowhere. It was amazing. Good job, guy. And then the second match was...
Well, it's nice to see Rick safe and sound. After all he's been around, and in my view he should be crowned the King of Limbo. Well, he's had his ups and he's had his downs. He's had his smiles and he's had his frowns. But I'll still say he should be crowned the King of Limbo.
And then the second match was Stardust versus Goldust. I think that was the second match. I might be missing a match in there somewhere.
The King of Limbo.
Goldust and Stardust is the best fucking thing. This feud they've got going on with man. Yeah. Ever since Goldust came back like 2 or 3 years ago, people have been wanting a Cody versus Goldust match at WrestleMania, and we're finally getting it. But not only are we getting that match that we wanted, but the storyline for it has been so good. So good. This is by far the most interesting storyline that they've got going on right now. It's the most interesting storyline, I think, that they've had going on in years. And a big part of that is Cody being amazing. Cody, you know, no matter what they give him, he knocks it out of the park, is the expression. I'm not from this planet. I am Stardust. I am from the 5th dimension. The 5th dimension is imagination. My nose hairs are growing at an exponential rate as I'm recording this. I gotta... Look at that. Look at it. That came out of my nose. It's a nose hair. I'm 90 years old. So Cody's amazing. His acting is amazing. The way that he is handed these crazy gimmicks and these characters and just goes full force at them like 110, 20,000% is amazing. And he's super interesting to watch. Goldust has always been, you know, fun to watch, and he's so good in the ring. He's what? He's 45 or something? He's fucking he wrestles like he's fucking 20. It's unreal. It's unbelievable. And he's better now than when he was fucking 20. When he was fucking Goldust in the Attitude Era, in like his early 30s and late 20s, he's better now at 45 than he was in the fucking... It's amazing, you know? It's like he's been like injecting Kryptonian DNA into his cock or something. But it's not just the two of them that I like about this storyline. It's such an interesting storyline because of it's got so much continuity behind it. And that's my favorite kind of wrestling storyline. That's my favorite thing probably about wrestling. The continuity of it, this long, never-ending, 60-year-old continuity where nothing is ever forgotten. That's, because, I'm all about continuity, and just, that's the best part of wrestling. Just, it's fucking, 80 years of storylines, going back to, like, the fucking Carney times, and it's amazing. And this storyline has so much of that, so much backstory. You don't have to know all of the backstory to enjoy it, either, because, like, that's where Cody being so great and captivating on his own comes in, because my friend Give and Take was watching it with me, and he agreed with me that it's like the best thing they've got going on right now. He doesn't know the storyline behind it, the years and years behind it, but he's not up to date on all the fucking kayfabe of Cody and Goldust, but even to like a noob, it's so captivating thanks to Cody's acting and I guess just the fact that they're the costumes themselves and the characters are so cool, but it's just such a it's a cool story. It's almost Shakespearean. I mean, you've got this guy in the 70s, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. He's the fucking people's champion. He's the common man. He's the biggest fucking wrestler in the world. Everybody in America is in love with Dusty Rhodes. He's the American Dream, and he's fighting the good fight in the ring. He's the world champion. All that. Biggest fucking babyface in the world. He's a hero to millions, but he's got a son at home that he's not there for, because he's got to be the American Dream, right? And so he's not there for his son Dustin. And Dustin wants to be a wrestler like Dad when he grows up, but he doesn't have a dad, and he grows up with all of these demons and these issues and this need to prove himself and be loved and accepted. And he finally gets to the WWE, and he becomes, they give him this ridiculous Goldust gimmick, and what are you gonna do with that? But he goes into it 110%, and he becomes this bizarre, sexually charged, fucking transvestite, Hollywood obsessed, fucking movie quoting weirdo who kicks people in the nuts and wears a wig and Goldust. It's just like, what is that? What is? You don't know what that is. That's Goldust. That's what that is. And it's such a unique, bizarre character. There's never been a character like Goldust. Ever, in anything. Not even just wrestling, right? And Goldust, he's there for a while. And there's a whole bunch of different storylines where Goldust is, you know, he's struggling between being Dustin Rhodes and being Goldust, you know, and there's like this divide between he's this persona and the person, and he doesn't know which is which. And there was one time he came out on Raw and he goes, "Goldust is dead," and he threw the Goldust stuff in a barrel and set it on fire, right? But Goldust came back. Goldust always came back. He's stuck with Goldust forever. He'll always be Goldust, the freak, the altered beast. That is, Goldust is always inside of him, eating away at him, you know? And he leaves the WWE, and he goes to WCW, and he goes to TNA, and he's got all these drug problems, and you know, and a lot of this is real. It's not, you know, this is another great thing about wrestling, how kayfabe and reality, it blurs together, because, you know, the guys who play these characters, you know, they are the characters. You base a persona on yourself, exaggerated, but it becomes you, and that's true for any person in any field of entertainment. You create a persona, and the lines get blurred. You don't know where one ends and one begins. And, you know, you got this guy, Dustin Rhodes, so desperate for his father's approval, he never got it. And he's got problems, and he's got demons, and he's fucking Goldust. And it's the coolest thing ever, right? But anyways, you know, Goldust has his career, and then he has his problems, and then he's gone, and he's gone for a long time, and you don't think you're ever going to see Goldust ever again. But Dusty had another son, a younger son. He was, what is he, like 15 years younger than Dustin, you know? And so now it's like 2008, 2007, and Goldust has been gone for a long time. His career's, you know, over. But Cody, the second son, is just starting to get into the company, you know? And Cody is the opposite of everything that Dustin ever was, you know, that Goldust was, you know. You know, maybe Dusty was there for Cody a lot more growing up, because when Cody was a kid, Dusty Rhodes wasn't, you know, the champion anymore. Dusty Rhodes was a booker in WCW. He was probably home a lot more. So, you know, Cody, he grew up, he got to grow up with Dad, and he's young, and he's beautiful, and he's abs, and, you know, he's like a normal looking guy, a normal handsome guy. He's everything that Goldust wasn't. You know, he's just a regular, normal, handsome looking dude that you'd want to hang out and play video games with. He's dashing. He's dashing Cody Rhodes. He's got a, you know, he's got this sexy guy gimmick, you know, and he's really good, and he cuts a great promo, and he's great in the ring, and he goes on, and they give him all kinds of different gimmicks, and, you know, progressively weirder and weirder gimmicks. Whatever spot that they need Cody to fill, he can do it, and they know he can do it, because he's that kind of a solid worker. So any crazy mid-card shit, you know, first he was dashing Cody Rhodes, and he was obsessed with his looks. Then he got hit in the face, and he became this disfigured monster, Cody Rhodes, where like he wore like one of those protective NBA face masks, like the guy, but like it was all in his head, and it was like a psychosomatic, like he thought he was disfigured, but he was so pretty. And then after that, they teamed him up with Damian Sandow, and he became, you know, part of this, you know, this intellectual tag team, and he grew this goofy mustache, and he became like this uptight hipster guy, and you know, all these different gimmicks. And then finally they do this storyline with the Authority, where Cody is fired by the Authority, and they took his dream away. And I don't know how much of this promo was scripted, or if it was like an on-the-fly type dealie. It seemed like a promo that he kind of made up on the spot, because it was one of those backstage sort of fallout interviews, right? And those don't seem scripted to me, but I could be wrong. But they do this angle where he loses his job, and after they catch up to him in the parking lot, and Cody cuts this promo, and it's and you know, Cody's been around for a while at this point. This is like 2012 or something, but he's never really cut like a iconic, memorable promo. But after he loses this fired match, and he's fired, and he loses his job, and he cuts this amazing promo. It's a short, sweet, that's the best kind of promo too. Like short, passionate, unscripted, or at least seems unscripted, where it just goes, the McMahons have always had it against the Rhodes. My father was the American dream. He set Florida on fire in the 1980s. He came up here to WWE. Vince McMahon put him in polka dots and had him dance. And that's true. That's what Vince did when Dusty came to the WWE in the 80s. Put him in polka dots and had him dance. And then he goes, my brother Dustin was one of the best wrestlers I ever saw. He was the natural Dustin Rhodes. And Vince McMahon, and his voice is like wavering when he says this. Cody is so fucking good. He knows, exactly the right inflection at any given time to make it seem like it matters. And he's like, and he came up here, Vince McMahon, he put my brother in gold paint, and he hasn't been the same since. And that is so, it's taking this character of Goldust, and, in one sentence, Cody, takes the character of Goldust and, the real situation behind how Goldust came to be. Vince McMahon gave him that gimmick, and he takes these, and he combines kayfabe and reality into something that makes sense in, one smooth motion, and that's beautiful to me. That's, if that were a thing, I would kiss it and hug it. Just that line. I could fucking analyze everything that's great about that line, My brother Dustin Rhodes was the best wrestler I ever saw. He was the natural. Vince McMahon put him in gold paint, and he hasn't been the same since. It's like taking all of, the real problems that we know Dustin Rhodes has had in his life, and combining it and making it make sense with this made-up kooky character Goldust. And so you're watching oh man, you're right. He did put Dusty in polka dots and make him dance, and he did put Dustin in gold paint, and he wasn't the same. He really wasn't. And, fuck the McMahons. You're right, Cody. And so that was great. And then Cody was fired. And then Dustin, he comes to Raw the next week. He puts on the gold paint again. He hasn't been Goldust in 8 years, right? And he comes back, and he's Goldust again. And Goldust fights to get Cody's job back. And he wins. Or I think he wins. I don't remember how it went down exactly. But the fact is, Cody got his job back. So now, the Rhodes brothers are reunited. Not just reunited, united for the first time on screen ever. Remember, these guys are 15 years apart, so, it's not like they grew up together. But the Rhodes brothers are together now, and Cody's got his job back, and so Cody Rhodes and Goldust become a tag team. And for about a year, and Goldust was blowing people away, right? Oh my god, Goldust has been gone for 10 years. He's in his mid-40s. How is he he's moving so fast? He's doing moonsaults and shit. What's going on? And Cody was great, and it was just great seeing the two of them together, and people loved this tag team, and they were a tag team for a year, right? And with a tag team champions. And you're like, wow, this is awesome. Cody Rhodes and Goldust together in a tag team. And then they start losing. They start losing it, right? They're losing matches. They lose the title. And Cody starts getting frustrated. And eventually Cody starts to crack under the pressure, and he goes, you deserve a better partner than me, Dustin. You deserve a partner who can live up to the legacy of Goldust. So for a couple weeks, You know, he tries replacing himself with different wrestlers with Goldust, and none of it pans out. And then he finally goes, you know what? Next week, Goldust, you're gonna have a partner that's that's good for Goldust. And so next week comes, and Goldust comes out, and you're thinking, well, who is this guy that Cody has picked for Goldust as a tag team partner? And out comes Stardust. And Cody Rhodes is now in a fucking Goldust suit with the fucking paint, with a big fucking goofy star on his face, hissing like a cat, talking about outer space and shit, and now it's Goldust and Stardust. And it's the best thing ever. It would have been better if they had ever given the tag team a real name. It was easy. I thought of a bunch. Anyone could have named that tag team. It was easy. Fucking the Dust Brothers, Sons of Dust. Why didn't they give that tag team a name? I don't know. It was stupid. But anyways, it was the best tag team ever. Goldust and Stardust, right? So now Goldust and Stardust were a tag team for a year. And I think it's been about a year since Cody's been Stardust. And Cody is committing to this 150%. Like every promo he does, he's talking about like outer space and like galactic supernovas. He's saying he's from the fifth dimension, which is like a reference to a Batman comic by Grant Morrison, which is awesome. You know, all these nerdy references. He makes like X-Men references and shit, and he like weaves them into this insane character who just like, I don't know, who was like birthed in a fucking pod in the fucking nether void of outer space. And he's cutting these crazy promos, and he's acting like a freak. And they're going on talk shows, and Cody is in his Stardust paint, and Goldust isn't wearing the paint. He's just dusting. And so now you're watching the promos, and you're like, oh my god, Goldust is the normal one. All of a sudden. When did that happen? You know, it's sort of like, you know, it's at this point where like Dustin has been Goldust for so long that, you know, he's reached this point where like he's in his 40s now, and he's mature, and he's like achieved balance in his life. You know, he's in the best shape of his life. He's clean. He's you know, and he's like this zen, and he's wearing the Goldust paint, but all the bizarreness is pretty much gone. He's at one with himself. He's Goldust and he's Dustin, right? And he's the normal one now because his brother Cody is now fucking Stardust. Hoopy foopy boop, supernova galactic fucking cosmos shit. And it's it's a weird chemistry, and it's a weird dichotomy, and it's a very fun role reversal from, you know, Goldust being Goldust and Cody being the normal one who was, you know, when he was dashing Cody Rhodes and he was all about being handsome and stuff, and he was a heel, you know, back then he was ashamed of his freaky family, ashamed of his freak brother Goldust, but now he's the weird one and Goldust is the normal one. So, you know, now they're doing the thing. I've been talking about this fucking Goldust and Stardust storyline for like an hour, but that's how fucking interesting it is. It's great. So they've been fucking as a tag team, and now finally they're getting to where they're starting to lose again, and you know, Stardust is getting frustrated, and he's getting frustrated with himself, and he's getting frustrated with Goldust, and he's starting to crack again, and Goldust, who's now the mature one, is saying, hey, Cody, get a hold of yourself. And Cody's saying, don't fucking call me Cody. I'm Stardust. And so there's like this identity crisis, right? And it plays into this. And you can sort of fill in this story. You can fill in the blanks yourself. When you see how well Cody delivers these promos about being like lost between being Stardust and being Cody, and his inflection, everything, like, you can glean from these promos how it would sort of make sense. Like, oh, wow, you know, come to think of it, I guess, you know, Cody's been living in the shadow of his dad and his brother for his whole career, really, and you know, that's got to be enough pressure to make a man crack, and you know, he just doesn't know who he is anymore. And there was one promo during this whole thing where Goldust said another great line. I think he was talking to Dusty, and he's saying, you know, I know what Cody's going through. He's lost between the persona and his real self. I understand because I've been there. And, you know, again, that's another one of those great lines that takes, like, reality and kayfabe and mushes them together into some cohesive, you know, picture, into a painting that's a complete portrait of this. Really, it's fucking Shakespearean. It's great. It's the best storyline that they've got going on now, by far. I can't come about this enough. I will come Stardust until my dying day for this storyline. And they had a match at Fastlane. It was a good match. It was a great match. Cody comes out looking like $1 million. Cody, like, updated his costume a little bit, so it's like a cross now between Cody and Stardust. Like, he's not wearing the full body suit. He's wearing the tights and no shirt. He's got the fucking, and they have a match, right? And at the end of the match, the referee, he 1, 2. He didn't even count to 3. I think it was a botch, or maybe it wasn't a botch. Maybe it was supposed to look like a botch. Maybe it was supposed to be screwy. But anyways, Goldust just barely got the pin on Stardust, and the match ended. And afterwards, there was a backstage segment. Goldust was talking to Dusty, and Stardust comes out and interrupts it. And god damn, this was great. Stardust is fucking livid, and he attacks Goldust, and he beats the shit out of Goldust, and he's ranting and raving, you know, blah, 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 Cody's dead, who's your favorite son now, Dusty? And he's yelling at Dusty, and he's saying, and he's going through, like, all of his old gimmicks, you know, like, Cody Rhodes, the breakout star of the legacy, dashing Cody Rhodes, blah, 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 they're all dead, Cody Rhodes is dead, and you killed him, and he points at Dusty, and he yells at Dusty, and it's great, and it's the best thing ever, and now they're going to have a rematch, and Goldust is going to fight Stardust at WrestleMania, and it's going to be the best match of all time, worth the price of admission alone, and I can't wait for it, dude, and it's going to be so cool, and the thing that makes it extra doubly cool is that I can't really think of a time in my mind, I don't know that Goldust ever really got a big WrestleMania match or a big WrestleMania moment. He's one of the most underrated guys ever in terms of his legacy. He, when you talk about the Attitude Era, he's one of the most iconic cornerstones of the Attitude Era. And it's weird that even despite that, you know, he was always a mid-carder, and I can't think of a single big WrestleMania match that Goldust ever had, despite being as kooky and weird and wonderful as he was. And he's finally going to get it. Goldust is finally going to get his big WrestleMania match, and it's going to be the best possible match that he ever possibly could have at WrestleMania, fighting his younger brother Cody, you know, probably passing on the torch or whatever, and you know, it's great, it's amazing, and if this turned out to be Goldust's last match, what a perfect last match it would be, you know, and just the whole storyline and the whole you know, the chemistry of Goldust being the mature one now, finally, and the sane one, and trying to, you know, pull Cody back from the brink before he goes over the deep end like he had done, you know, 15 years ago. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Rave reviews. 5 stars in the paper. Stardust. So that was good. Then there was a Divas match that I didn't pay attention to. And, oh, God, I'm getting pretty fucking bored. Talking to a camera. Fucking boring. Oh, God. What was next? Was it John Cena or the Dean Ambrose? I'll talk about the Dean Ambrose match first. I don't remember which one exactly came first, but, Dean Ambrose Intercontinental Championship match versus Wade Barrett. Bad News Barrett. And I didn't see most of this match. Again, you know, you see so much wrestling that it's very easy to start surfing the web while it's on, you know, and not really pay attention to everything. You know, the big matches I pay attention to. You know, it's always, if something grabs me, then it grabs me. But if something isn't grabbing me, then I'm kind of surfing the net, you know, because I'm such an old, jaded fucking smark, and I've been watching for so long. So, I sort of barely saw this match. One thing that I want to complain about, I love Dean Ambrose, I really do. He's one of my favorites right now. Oh, but goddamn, that fucking move he does. And you know the one I'm talking about. That fucking fake out thing on the ropes that he does 10 fucking times in every match. It looks so slow and so shitty. It makes the match look instantly fake. Nobody would ever fall for this in real life, especially considering, you know, he telegraphs it a mile away. It's so fucking slow, and he does it fucking 10 times in every match. And it only looks good like 1 out of 10 times. I hate it. It's the worst. And like the first time I saw it, I was like, wow, that's a really cool move. I like how he does that. Then he did it fucking 5,000 more times in every match he's ever had. And it just looks slower and stupider every fucking time I see it. Oh, I think he did it like 2 or 3 times in this match. Fucking Christ. Fucking. Other than that, though, Dean Ambrose is really good. I'll tell you why Dean Ambrose is really good. Oh, shit. What the fuck? Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Finn Balor's WrestleMania disguise.
Rawr! I'm a scary monster man. I'm a scary monster man.
after the Bad News Barrett match, Dean Ambrose cuts one of the best promos of his entire career, and it was really good. And then after that, there was a John Cena match. And John Cena appears to be in the stage of his career where he's jobbing to everybody, and that's just fine. John Cena does the job for Rusev. He passes out to the Accolade, and Rusev wins clean, and that was really cool. Good job. I didn't really pay attention to the match because I never pay attention to John Cena matches, but whatever. Who fucking gives a shit?
I can't see a thing.
Finally, there was... You know, I really don't have the energy to fucking complain about this one at length and talk about it. And I know it's just a fucking can of worms that's gonna make me rant for a fucking hour. But finally, Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns. This was a great match. Fucking fantastic. By far, Roman Reigns' best match yet as a singles competitor. And they beat the shit out of each other. These fucking punches and kicks and forearms were stiff as fuck. There was one where Roman just started bashing Daniel Bryan's head in with his forearm. It looked brutal. And then there was one where they were locked on the floor, and Daniel Bryan was just fucking axe kicking him in the side of the head over and over, and dropping these feet on his head. It's like, fuck. That's how you lose a fucking ear. It looked brutal in all the right ways. I'm sure that they were totally safe because Daniel Bryan knows what the fuck he's doing, but it was a great match. It was a great match, and then Roman Reigns hit the spear, and then Roman Reigns won clean, and then Daniel Bryan shook his fucking hand, and Roman Reigns is going to fight Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania for sure now. And it's just sad because it's sad for a lot of reasons. I don't know what they're going to do with Daniel Bryan now, for one thing. Going into WrestleMania, Daniel Bryan has nothing. And you know what they're going to do with him? I'll tell you what they're going to do with him. He's going to fight Sheamus. Oh, God. Sheamus is going to come... Oh, Jesus, fuck. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see Daniel Bryan. It's sad that they've got this hot ticket in Daniel Bryan and they're just throwing it away, right? I don't know. And what's really sad is that if you did a screwy finish and just added Daniel Bryan to the match with Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns could have won. Nobody would have complained. If you put Daniel Bryan in that match and have it be a triple threat, then it doesn't matter who wins. It really doesn't, because that makes it the most interesting match possible. Just Roman, though, least interesting fucking possible outcome. And it's a weird, strange decision. It's a baffling decision. And if I were capable of getting mad at WWE anymore, I would probably be mad, but I no longer have the ability to be mad at WWE. So, yeah. I don't know. I don't even get annoyed anymore. I'm so... the things that I like, I'm emotionally invested in. And the things that are fucking stupid, I no longer have the energy to be emotionally invested in. So, so that's Fastlane. Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. Oh, and there were some other cool things that happened too that weren't matches. Triple H did a segment with Sting, which was pretty cool. They're going to have a match. Bray Wyatt cut a promo on Undertaker. They're going to have a match at WrestleMania, which is pretty cool. And if that's Taker's last match, okay, good. That's a great last match for him to have. Passing the torch to Bray. I'm sure that he'll put Bray over. I'm sure that Bray will win. So, yeah, it's a good way for Taker to go out. He gives the rub to Brock, and then he gives it to Bray. And who knows, maybe someday in the future, Bray will fight Brock. And, I'm fucking cum in my pants for that. That'd be great. But, that was great. So, yeah, there was a lot of really great stuff about this pay-per-view. There was a lot of really horrible, stupid stuff in this pay-per-view, as is expected by WWE. And there was a Divas match. And that was Fastlane. And that's me. I did it, guys. I did another wrestling vlog. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I gotta get out of here. Don't want to jinx myself. But, Horseshoe Finale's almost done. It's close enough to being done that I can fucking taste it. So I should get back to work on that. And, bye. Holy shit.
King of Limbo.